for being patient. Okay. Okay, I sent it to her, so she's good.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna take myself off of mic so
No
you don't have
worries.
the humming of a car in the background.
Thank you.
We can focus on your beautiful voice.
Well, thanks. I just got a microphone, so I'm feeling very, very official. I don't know if it's the right one, Lauren. You probably know.
I'm sure it's great. You sound great.
Thank you.
I just got like a $9 one on Amazon too. It's fine.
Yes.
Trick.
Yes. I just am excited about the fluffy one for outside use.
They call that a dead cat.
What? An end cat?
No, like in the film, this is, I don't know, this is a morbid name, but in the film world, the official name of that fluffy thing is called a dead cat.
Oh, a dead cat. That makes sense.
I mean, does it?
Kind of. It's fluffy, but it should be alive.
Yeah, well, like in film, they're huge. They're like they're like big gray fluffy things for like the big long mics, and they're just called dead cats. They've always been called dead cats.
That's amazing. I'm in a silly mood today. Okay. Yeah, I think so. Liz is joining. I'm just gonna start though and share my screen. Okay, awesome. You guys see this?
No.
Now there you go. Okay, awesome. So this, the first question is, why are you guys here? I'm just curious. Is there a reason besides being a good friend?
Yeah. So it's kind of fun timing because you were like, come, you might be able to like workshop. And I'm simultaneously like planning to start a Kickstarter and I want to design merch. And there's obviously a pretty like thematic, there's like a theme that goes throughout my material from like the story standpoint to the design standpoint. And yeah, I was just curious about how what I might learn in this course could translate to creating a cohesive marketing campaign for the Kickstarter.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. I've done an Indiegogo too, so I can help on the side also.
Sweet.
That was years ago, but
yeah, it's my first time doing it. So I'll get it.
Very cool. Okay, well, hopefully some of this helps. What about you, Madison? No worries if you can't talk. Okay, we'll just keep going.
Yeah, sorry. I just had to look real quick to put the mic back on. Yeah, well, I mean, I just, just kind of support you and love to hear what you're sharing. I mean, there's always good nuggets to take into, my creative journey, which I'm trying to diversify into different things right now. So it's definitely an interesting time as well. I just kind of did some rebranding for my DJ producer stuff. And then kind of on the sideline working for this mentoring program for youth and potentially some other stuff too. So yeah, hence it could be good timing too to kind of dip my toes into it. But
perfect.
Mainly excited to just sit and listen to you do your thing.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'm excited to know why you guys are here. It seems like this time of year is always when ideas are fresh and people are, they're like thinking about what to do next or starting it. But I'm here because, since I was little, I've loved to play and that hasn't gone away. It's taken me on a journey in the advertising world and more specifically in the branding world, but it's all related. Like I see branding as kind of the core of a business. Like that's just my lens. Now I want cookies. Yeah, Cookies is a weed brand. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's cool. It started in San Francisco and they, speaking of swag, have you heard of this brand, Lauren?
No, I'm thinking about literal cookies, but yeah, great that it's a weed company. Makes sense.
It's cool. It's kind of like the Apple. It's like a streetwear brand, but like the Apple of weed at the same time. So Weed's
Cool.
kind of a weird thing to market, but they opened up stores and they sell really cool swag. So they're kind of like a fashion, they do fashion drops, and then they also have a just really cool branding on their bags and everything. They bring artists in, but anyways, that was like a short stint on cookies. But all these brands, what they have in common is that they're kind of on the edge. Like either they were like medium size and scaling to try to get acquired, and so that was a really fun time to work on these brands, or they were already big and they needed some kind of like brand push to like have an edge. Charles Schwab is the exception, not the sexiest brand, but like for instance, they were launching a new franchise division, and so they needed a new website. They wanted it to be like fresh and like kind of catered towards that San Francisco entrepreneur. So anyways, it's been a really cool journey. It started in San Francisco, or sorry, it started in Kansas. This is the ad agency I worked at in Kansas, like right out of college. And of all things, it was a senior living community marketing agency. So like, what an interesting switch, because it was all direct mail. So it was very tangible. Like we were designing all of this direct mail, and I was like, I loved it. I was very grateful. It taught me how to like learn typesetting and graphic design. But I knew there was this yearning to go to the coast, whether that was New York or San Francisco. So anyways, yeah, I was led to San Francisco. Of all places, I landed at a milkshake company, like completely random, but it sounded fun to me. And it was a milkshake headquarters in like right outside of Oakland. So it was just really fun. There were milkshake engineers that like made the flavors. There were actual engineers who would tinker and like make these machines. And then there was this really small team. It was me and one other designer. So at a pretty young age, I was able to experience how a startup kind of scales, and then how a brand hits all the different touch points. And it was small enough where like, we would like play basketball with the CEO at lunch, like stuff like that. But they were pretty big, and they actually did get acquired. So smaller size team, but they were still like scaling. So that was kind of the beginning of me seeing a startup, and I just loved it. I was obsessed. After like a year and a half, I had the itch to do my jumpsuit brand. And so I moved into this hacker house, and I was quite the anomaly, but a hacker house is typically for developers who are coding and making apps. But I just wanted to be in this like even like more intense startup environment. So there were like 20 of us that actually lived there, and then the rest of them, it was kind of like startups coming in to get funding, and they would just like Airbnb basically. But I lived there for a year, and that's when I started doing my own brand business for these startups. So I got to like quickly see, okay, everyone needs a brand, they need a website, they need social content. And that's pretty much been the theme for the last 13 years since then. And that led me to bigger brands. Oh, I just want to make sure we don't need to let anyone in real quick. Okay, I don't think so. Yeah, bigger brands in San Francisco, like Gap called, and I was like, this is crazy. And they're like, we need a new website. And it was when Instagram was just kind of starting to be brand like influencer-y. And so I was like, why don't we just do like a tickering thing of circles, and then the little influencers could be on the like front page of the website or on the shopping page. And then yeah, that it's just one thing after the another. I kept finding these cool brands and consulting, and then kind of moving on to the next. So it was a fun journey. But what I really loved and learned is that I just like working with founders and seeing them go from like zero to something, or if they already have something, like helping them launch something new or growing. And I've noticed like the one thing in common is there's a lot of chaos at startups. Even if they have a ton of funding and they're doing well, like it's still chaotic, because you have that founder mentality of like, let's try something new today. And every day you kind of wake up and it's like they have a new focus, and it's like that's not how you grow. You have to like really say no to things and really get clear, like, okay, this is my main product, and maybe I have 2 supporting products, but thinking kind of 80-20, 80% focus on this one thing, 20% the rest. And I also noticed that there was this myth, like the teams were always chasing the demographics. And I really see brands, this is just my perspective, I see iconic brands, kind of these edgier brands, they're igniting a movement, you know, they have a torch in their hand and they're like, follow me, I'm the, you know, I'm different in a nutshell. Kind of the rebel, you know. But I see brands, they reflect how people move. So not where they live, but like how they move inside of their house, how they dance, how they physically move. And then a brand is just reflecting the founder, right? Or the customer. So if you're matching that energy with your brand, you're going to attract the right stuff. I love to give the example of Supreme. They started in New York. It's a skater brand and they do really cool fashion as well. I don't know if you guys are familiar. I'm seeing some nods. But they started their retail store. It really started around movement. So they allowed this people to come in, look at the skateboards and not just look at them, but they actually skated around the shop. So there was like physical motion in the store. And then the clothes were just kind of an afterthought. It just was like, oh, okay, this swag is really cool. We're going to buy this. But it became about the culture and the movement more so than like buy this cool thing. The buying just happened naturally because the culture was already there. And what I think is amazing about this brand is that they were able to scale and keep their integrity and keep their kind of edge, literally. And they grew recently, like the last 5 years, they opened like 17 stores and they all have like half pipes in their store. And I just think that's so rad that they stayed true to their original kind of founding movement. It stuck to its roots. And I give the example of Bori, no hate. There's a little shade on Bori just because it's vanilla. But I just wanted to give a perspective of like culture, rebellious brand that's on the edge, and then there's like a vanilla brand that like is so boring and everyone wears. It's great quality, but it's like, what do they stand for? I don't know. Like besides good quality, why am I going into that store? Do I want to look like everyone else? Whereas like Supreme, they have limited drops, which it makes it cool. And they were kind of the OGs besides fashion houses for streetwear to do these limited drops. And they didn't do it in any strategic way. They just didn't have enough money to do a lot of apparel in one drop. So the exclusivity became this happy accident and it made the clothes more valuable. So their clothes are ridiculously priced now. I don't own any Supreme, but maybe someday.
I spent way too much money on a ex-boyfriend's Supreme hat that he did not deserve.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Get it back, Lauren. Just go steal it.
Not worth it.
I love that. So another brand. Wait, I have a question actually on the hat. Did it just say Supreme? Or
This was like years ago. But yeah, I think it was just like Supreme is cool, buying into the coolness of the brand.
the
And
label?
limited edition. Like I had to get it on like Y stock.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's deep. It's like Black Web.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like, how do I find this brand? How do I find this thing? Because I can't get it, you know? I think that's been overplayed a little like now, but if you can do it in an authentic way, it works. So I like to give the idea, I like the idea of scaling with soul, like Supreme. Adidas also did this. They were kind of getting eaten a little by the newer shoe brands, so like Hoka and like some of the other shoes taking up space. And so they're like, okay, what do I do? They basically just reinvented an old classic. So they took the 70-year-old Samba shoe and made it in like hundreds of colorways. Like it's been exploding the last 5 years. I don't know if you've noticed, but like all these different stores have different colors. And it was just such a simple thing, but that's how you scale. You focus on one thing and you offer it in a lot of different ways. So I want to get into like the systems part. Actually, I'm going to check on Liz and see if she is able to get in. She can't figure it out. Okay, I can record it. Just give me one second. Okay, so anyways, this is me at Healthline. So Healthline was this is kind of I worked at all these startups, and then I kind of got invited to these bigger companies. But Healthline was the first time where I was like, I want to stay at this brand. I want to like work here full time. And what excited me is that they needed to grow their Instagram, their social media. They had like 12,000 followers, and today they have like 1 million. But the cool thing is they use the same strategy that I implemented, which I'm very proud of. It's like my star child, because that was the first time that I got to see it work on a big scale. And then they ended up acquiring 2 other health brands, and we did the same strategy, same thing, same Instagram strategy, took off. To this day, they're still using the same kind of content. And then as far as the brand, I was on the team that was doing the rebrand. So we had to rebrand Healthline and then the other 2 companies within. And I got really frustrated because we were sitting in a room and everyone was just had opinions, and they were just like, oh, let's make it pink, or oh, let's make this brand about suburban and then this brand urban. And I'm like, that doesn't really work. Like, it's not really location, it's how these people move and how they behave, and more about their psychographics or their how they like move. So psychographics are like their behavior. And so I had like this aha moment. This is me when I worked at a fashion company, and one of the jumpsuits I made, and this fashion company had this way of styling people based on your energy type, they called it. And I saw that as elements. It just was like crystal clear in my brain, like air, fire, water, earth. Like that's how I see people move. And so I brought this framework into Healthline. I presented it to the CMO. I was like, check this out. Like, I think this is going to help us. And he was like ex-Starbucks, like all these bigger brands. He was like, actually, this makes a lot of sense. It's like very objective. And we can all look at this piece of paper and be like, yes, I can see how these move differently. So yeah, fire like ignites. It wants to start things. It moves very fast. Air is just kind of all over the place. There's no really direct path. It just kind of moves. And then water flows. It takes up the space of where it's moving. And then earth, things really move towards earth. If earth moves, it's very intentional, and it's very like an earthquake. It has a very big effect when it moves. So I love to give the example of celebrities, because we all can kind of agree. Okay, Britney Spears moves very like bubbly, airy, like quick, cute, versus like Madonna. She's like powerful and edgy, and she's got this gusto behind her. And yeah, it's just it's very direct movement and efficient. Whereas Enya's water, right? She takes up the space of a room. She fills it with her echoey voice. And then Taylor Swift, like, she's just perfect. Like, she has lots of different forms, but at her core, she's just this straight line that's kept going. And over time it's changed, but she's had this big vision, right? And she's built this fan base that just has attracted to her, because she's very unique, right? Like, there's no other T Swift out there. And then this just breaks it down even more into how I see it with brands. It's based on what the audience values. So that's where you start with brand positioning. It's like, okay, what does my person value? And then let's build the brand around that. Or usually it's what does the founder value? And then they attract people that value the same things. So yeah, each element has its own kind of value. And same with shapes and colors and lines. So when I'm designing a brand, this is where I start. And then it gets into like mood boards and everything. And I like to break it down into a percentage. So I just stick to the 80-20 rule. That's like my designer in me is just, it makes it easy. but you have kind of your primary energy and then your secondary. So yeah, that's pretty much my brand positioning approach. And why it matters is because you obviously have to be different, stand out from the competition, and understand like how they move too, because you don't want to just copy them, because then you're just a boring copycat. It's like, just be authentic to yourself, you know, like a Tesla, they're driven by desire, by power, by transforming like how things are done. And so the fire one literally has triangles in it, whereas the air, you know, it's playful. It's like, how do you get more fun than a convertible? How do you, so they're driven just by fun. How do I get to A to B with the most fun? And you can see like the circles in the car, and it's curved, you know. I think like a beetle bug would be another good air car. And then Earth is just like stable, perfect, like badass, you know, it's got this weight to it. And Mercedes is a brand, like they don't have many colors, right? It's black, white, silver, maybe red, you know, a pop of color, but that's kind of how I see the colors. And then Porsche, they're all about how comfortable can I be? You know, they're driven by comfort. How do I get from A to B in the most like comfortable way? So yeah, that's the gist of it, you know, figuring out this frequency and just repeating it over and over in different channels so the right can find you. What?
Oh, you see open the door and then go
I
in the
know.
no, see?
I'm gonna mute. One sec. I'm gonna mute. It's not letting me mute. Oh well. Okay, so I'm gonna go into a couple examples. So Hero, I'm gonna talk about the process for how I had used that process with rebranding Hero. So it's a eco-friendly diaper. You literally put a mushroom pouch into it that they developed, and then over time the mushroom activates the baby's poop, and it biodegrades in the landfill. So it's just like pretty insane technology. And working with the founder, Mickey, she was all like, I want this brand to feel nurturing. It was a very personal story to her and intimate. Like, what's more intimate than your baby? And when she had her baby, she was changing the diapers and you go through 6,000 diapers in a lifetime of a baby. And she was like, this is so wasteful. And she had this like guilt. And so in true Mickey fashion, she set out on a way to solve it. And she met Pero, who is the founder of Four Sigmatic, and they created this amazing mushroom product. And so as far as the brand side, they had the logo already. And then so I kind of came in and I had to build everything else around it. So the logo was sick. And I was like, okay, the logo's great. Mickey had an idea of colors, but again, she kept showing me like this journal photo. She's like, just make it like intimate, you know? And I'm like, okay, like collage aesthetic. And she's like, yes, but like real, like photograph, real paper, you know, don't like just put paper. And so we ended up, you know, putting paper as textures. And then we took the spores from the mushrooms and literally made these stamps to create a fun pattern. And yeah, so as far as like the energies, it was like 80% tan, 20% fire. So 80% water, which is comforting. It has a purpose. It's very mission driven. And then the fire part is really just like Mickey, just being herself and like wanting to be cool and unique and stand out from all these other eco brands that are all green and brown. So we had a little green and brown, but just the pop, and it was neon. So if you look at the shelf of diapers, it's all white, you know, and they stood out for sure. So yeah, this was a really fun project to bring to life. It was mainly like packaging heavy, but thinking of how do you make this intimate experience when they open it, when they get it at home, like, and pull out these diapers. You know, you can tell on the right on this photograph, they use like really sheer, like it feels good to the touch, right? And then you can see through to the actual product, the actual diapers, or sorry, those are the wipes. But it just has this natural feel to it. Go ahead.
I just chuckled. It's cute.
Oh, thanks. So yeah, so how does it drive growth? We've kind of talked about how we create a brand, but how does it actually drive growth? And how do you do that authentically? So I like to think that feelings scale faster than features. You can any day just be like, oh, this is this feature and it's really cool. But when someone sees something first, they have to get a feeling. And going back to what Mickey said, she was like, I want it to feel intimate. So that was the feeling. And then you evoke, you have the emotion and then you evoke kind of the pain point, how you're solving the problem. And so that's what all ads have in common, is they're solving a problem. If you're not solving a pain point for a customer, like what are you doing? You're not really helping anyone. So SoulPod, their problem, this is a meditation app, and they were different because everyone else in the meditation space, it's kind of become mainstream. It's like Mindful and I can't think of the other brands, but they were all kind of like, I don't know, surface level meditations. And SoulPod wanted to be for the person that's already kind of spiritual and wants to go deeper. So they have these like deeper, longer journeys and like very, very intentional. They're seekers, right? It's for the seeker instead of just like, oh, I need to like not be stressed. It's like, no, I want to go deep. I want to like channel and like, evolve. So in the App Store, this was their first thing that you would see, the screen. And then this was the one that I helped create. So it just didn't say anything. It was just like journey into an elevated state of being, SoulPod. Like, I don't know what they're even selling here, and it's like maybe something with a journey, but I don't really know. So the After, which helped convert their sales, like doubled their sales once we launched it, was to first put the logo up high and then create a headline, meet your future self. So to me, that's very tangible. It's like, okay, I know like the vision of my future self. So if something can help me get there, like I'm all in. And then the subheader is just saying what it is, like very simple, to the point. Daily rituals and meditations to align with your energy. So it was pretty much just like give them more information and make them feel a certain way. So that's what helped that convert. And then Pepper, this is a recent company I worked with last year, and they are a payments company of all things, and it's a very crowded space. And they were launching their new product during Christmas. So it was even more crazy because everyone's trying to put their ads out during Christmas. But we were able to get them leads. So they have a really involved sales cycle. It's like it's pretty expensive product because you're buying the point of sale stuff for the restaurant, and then you're also getting software. But they weren't getting any leads in the beginning. And in 2 months, we were able to get them from 0 to basically 150 leads a week. So we did that with ads, and each week we just put out 5 ads and we iterated and we learned what was working, what wasn't. And this was one of the top performers. And thinking about the emotion, it's like, if you're a restaurant owner, you want to make money, like that's it. And if you're losing money to delivery apps, that's not cool. So the delivery apps were taking like 50% of whatever a restaurant would make. So Pepper basically helps get those same customers and put the money back in the owner's pocket. So very straightforward, not like the coolest ad, but it does the job, right? It just paints a clear picture for the founder or for the potential customer. Let's see, we're pretty good on time. Tushy, this is another, like one of my favorite examples. And they basically, everyone wants to grow, right? If you don't want to grow, like why do you have a business? And then the strategy was the rebrand. So it went from chaos, like lots of colors, kind of no really brand design system, which for a creative team, that's really hard to move forward if you don't have a system. It's like, okay, today we're going to make 10 ads and 5 pieces of social media and an email, but like, what's the system? What's the content strategy, copy and design? So we helped I helped refine the system, and again, they were like water and air. So the air was like the humor, and then the water was the education. Like, you need to understand how this is going to help you. So it was a mix. And let's see, homepage, you can just see it's like, okay, chaos, and then it's like extreme simplicity, and just being straightforward. Okay, so yeah, so just to kind of recap, how do you scale with soul? You name the feeling first, build the system, and then repeat. And then this is how I kind of work, is like, you start with a product. If someone already has the product, then you get into the brand, but the brand kit is really, it's like a working toolbox that you can just kind of be like, here, take this. You're all set, you have your templates, colors, everything is there, the copy strategy, so it's all in one place. And so that helps you go faster. And then obviously people need websites, and then the content is what helps you grow, is just creating that content from the brand kit. This is, yeah, more just like high level. Like, if you think of a marketing funnel, it's like, it's not magic. It's like, how do you become a raving fan? It's like very intentional. First, they see you, awareness. So they see that you're out in the market, and then the consideration, the offer, you give them something. So then they're like thinking, okay, maybe I'll purchase. And then the action is the sale. That's where you build the trust. And that's where they're actually buying something. And then care is they're coming back. So they're the raving fan, like Madison. They're coming to Madison's show, and they're always there. They always want to support because it's awesome, right? So the raving fans, it's not just for music. I think of it for all brands. But when you can do that, when you can create the loyalty, then that's great. You've accomplished marketing. So yeah, just more examples. Tushy, we became like the top performer on Klaviyo, which is an email platform, and there were thousands of e-commerce brands. And we did it by creating a very specific template, essentially, and strategy. And so once we had that template, we were able to like really quickly make these emails, but make them fun. So we're like spending less time thinking about how to design it and what to write, and more time creating like cool content that goes into this template, or this framework. And there's a lot more to it, but like figuring out the audiences. But another thing was educating. So I like to call it LOL, you laugh or you learn. We would try to do both, right? So it was very like engineered, but so the educating was kind of on the second part. But again, it's the feeling. Okay, cool. What is this? Okay, Tushy toilet brush. It's just saying what it is. And then it's educating like why it's durable. It's minimalist, like saying kind of the features is a little bit of education. And then why do I care? It's because it's eco-friendly, it's made from coconut husks. Like, how cool is that? And then the last kind of section of the email is social proof. So customers love it, and look at these cool, it's in these CNN underscore. So that's like the immediate trust, but continuing to do that in all the emails. So yeah, Helpline, same, their strategy, that was the first one that I talked about. For Instagram, their strategy was to educate and then get deep engagement. So educating being the common theme, but the deep engagement means that someone would share the post or save it because they would learn something about their health. So totally different from WebMD, who scares you to think you're going to die. Helpline was like, let me make you feel good and wrap a warm blanket around you while you're sick. And like, here's some really useful information, whether it was medical or more naturalistic, you would want to save it because you're like, oh my God, I'm going to feel better. So that was the deep engagement part. And to this day, they're using the same strategy. So yeah, that's my favorite case study. So yeah, brand in a nutshell, I think of it as, yeah, it's everything. You're here. It's like, how do you create that brand universe for yourself, for your brand? So you can just kind of attract the right people. And then that's just some client love. So yeah, we have like a little bit of time left if you guys have any questions. I know that was a lot. Or anything specific that you need help with.
That was really cool.
Thank you.
I enjoyed that walkthrough. It was pretty inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, feedback's always good too. We can share maybe later. But yeah, as friends, I'm always like, how can I make this better? You know?
Yeah, that was awesome. I don't know if you can hear me. I apologize because I had to dip into a store real quick and I thought my mic was off. So hopefully I got it back off. I apologize for that.
No worries. Oh, it turned off. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think right when I was in there real quick, you were talking about the growth strategy and the content buckets. I didn't really get to see visually what that looked like. I mean, I kind of have an idea of what it is. It's kind of, would you say, like from a social media perspective, marketing, like the different attributes of either of who you are or what the brand is, and each one is a different part of that, and each one will be like a content bucket, so to speak, right?
Yes. So I like to think of 3 buckets. At Healthline, we had like 7 and then it expanded, but that's a big company, right? And they have all these.
Yeah.
And how we separated there was different types of health. And then we would create, okay, so say it was, okay, this one, like 5 signs of codependency. So then it was in what kind of format would that be? So you have 3 categories, then you're going to have maybe like a couple formats under each category. So if you're talking about personal, it's going to be a photo, or, or like a little like quick blurb, like, and then if it's, say it's like educational for you, like teaching, then it could be, that's its own bucket. And maybe that's like a carousel, and just keeping that kind of template in that format. So when you wake up, you're not like, oh, what do I post today? But it's like, you have your 3 buckets. I try to do a week ahead of content and like do it all in like 4 hours if possible. It's not always possible. But ideally you're like a couple weeks ahead and you're making content repeatedly in these buckets. And then, yeah, the third one, it could be, live shows or whatever, like video. So thinking of the bucket that goes with a specific kind of visual, and that's going to train the algorithm to remember what you're doing. And so people can see it. And I have like a system. I want to create next, like a class on that. I've done a class years ago, but I'm going to create that offering because that's what I keep hearing. It's social media every time. So yeah, I think I'll on that.
I find it is kind of tricky because we know that the algorithm will favor certain things, and then like, some people, you almost have to boost things in order to get more visibility. Like, I don't even know how much hashtags help anymore. Like, I'm sure they do help some, and then there's metadata, and there's in the first 1 to 2 seconds you got to have something visual that grabs people, right? And so if it's a video, sometimes maybe it's a text because people don't always have their volume on. But not every content piece might be a video, but it does seem to be the thing that people engage with the most, right? And it's continually changing, like what the algorithm likes. It's like forever changing algorithm that you have to keep staying on top of, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting, I think the way that brands have grown maybe 5 or 10 years ago is probably different than now. So I'm like just curious, like, do you have an idea of like how brands are growing now more, or do you see it hasn't changed as much as like 5 or 10 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, they're always changing and updating the algorithm, and if we're talking about just Instagram, but as far as Are you talking specifically about Instagram or any channel?
Oh, I mean, when I say algorithm, I think each platform kind of has their
platform?
own, whether it's YouTube or Instagram or,
Yes,
you know.
they do. So yeah, it's like really just figuring out. I like to focus on one at a time, nail that, and then you can go to the next one. So if that takes you 3 months or even a year to grow, just
Yeah.
focus on one that's working. And then
Yeah.
when you feel ready, then go to the next one. If you're trying to do like 5 channels at once, it's too chaotic. So I would choose 1 to 2 and then just really focus on honing those on.
Yeah.
And maybe even asking your fans like, hey, do you want to see my shows on YouTube? Or, you know, like, do you want a visual medium? Like really just asking them and engaging with them through like story or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, I feel like, yeah, your SoundCloud, your radio, how's that been going?
You mean my DIFM or SoundCloud? Which one?
Oh, I guess DIFM. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I mean, we changed me to the third Friday of the month at a time that is like much better for Europe, because the European listeners and the East Coast is where the strongest listeners are. So I have to see what the data is on that, but like I know my audience has been growing on that, and that should like have boosted it even more.
Oh, good.
You know, I mean, I don't know. There might be like 800 to 1,000 listeners.
Nice. Well,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell because, you know,
yeah.
uh,
I think another
yeah.
channel is figuring out how to get them into your email list. That's like the #1 retention channel.
Yeah, you know what? And then that I have to say, it's interesting you were talking about that because my girlfriend, she was interviewing a bunch of different entrepreneurs and artists. And like one of the questions she had, she's like, she was looking for people with like massive email lists. And I have to say, to be honest, that is one thing that I have not nurtured as much. And maybe it's because I find my own email box like super overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like if it's just I have so much junk that I have to just eyeball it and know, thank God I can organize it and I know what I'm looking for. But because of that, I think I haven't tended to my own email list as well. And I used to, it shows and stuff, but I'm like, I know there's ways you can do that through like bootleg giveaways or different things like that.
Yeah.
Are on your website. I just don't know. I'm curious with the ROI. I hate to use that terminology, but like how many, like when people use these email lists, like how much retention or how much interest do people typically get with their brand or their company or whatever it is they're working on through email? Like, what do you find?
I mean, I think all the channels should be trying to grow the email list, because
Right.
followers, say you have 10,000, they say it's $1 a month per user per email. Like you're getting $1 a month per email, if that makes sense. Whatever you're selling, dependent on whatever you're selling. But that's kind of a rule of thumb for like, let's see, like more individual solo entrepreneurs. Companies different, they have different offerings, but yeah,
Right.
I think figuring out what email platform you're going to use and then working backwards from there. But
Right.
if you guys are interested, I know you guys are friends and just being supportive, but I am offering a brainstorm, and so it's like a 90-minute strategy session, and I can really like carve out a path for you. So figuring out, oh sorry, this one's packaging, that's the wrong one. Anyways, it said packaging, but essentially just a private one-on-one where we're going through and figuring out the positioning and the core messaging for your brand and like what your offering is, and then building a 90-day like growth plan around that. So whether that's 1 channel or 2, I would recommend 1 to 2, and then like just knowing exactly like what to fix and launch next. So yeah, I'm offering that at a discounted rate. So today it's $475, and if normally it's $997. So that's my offering if you guys are interested, or if you know a founder who's like, okay, I really need help getting from A to B. So that's what I want to offer to the founders. So yeah, if if you guys don't have any other questions, do you have any other questions? Or I know we went a little over, but I'm happy to stay on if I can help more.
Yes, I'm good. You've been great. Thank you. I'm happy to share that info with anyone that's, looking, or if I hear of anything. So
Awesome. Thank
always,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to eventually be able to work with you, Brittany.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I love being surrounded by these female powerhouses, so I hope you got some value out of this, and
Really.
yeah, I'll keep trying to share useful content. I'm working on myself, just providing more education on Instagram. So taking my own medicine of what I've done with brands and just kind of doing it for my own brand. So it's easier said than done, but it's like if you just stick to the system, it gets easier each day. So yeah, happy to answer more questions when I see you guys. And yeah, I hope you have a good day.
Awesome. You too. I'll talk to you soon, honey.
Thanks for coming. I appreciate the support.
It's great.
All right, honey. Thank
All
you.
right. See you
It's awesome.
soon. Bye.
Bye.